Perfect. There we are.
Welcome to the dtalks podcast. Yes, welcome to the dtalks.
Out here, living life. I'm stressed out, but today is a good day because I get to sit here. This is my stress relief for the whole week. This is it. This is where I get to air it all out. We're here. We're doing the thing. What's going on, D-Bags? Hope you guys are all doing well. We're back here again with another episode, the 173rd episode of the dtalks podcast. I'm your guys' host, Darren. Rita, feel free to connect with me at any of the links down below. And if you're new here and you enjoy music, podcasts, comedy, or hooping videos, do consider subscribing because we've got a whole lot of that going on around here. And when you leave a like, comment, hang out with us in the live chat, any of that good stuff, it helps us share laughs and conversations like the ones we're going to have today with more people. So do consider doing that. Now, before I can introduce you guys to my guest this week, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about car insurance. These days, it seems like prices just keep going up. It feels like every day we're talking about how expensive everything already is or how expensive things are going to be. But luckily for you and I, our hometown agency, Kenosha Auto Insurance, can help us save some money in that department. When you shop locally with Kenosha Auto Insurance, you'll see how simple and hassle-free insurance can really be while they get you and your family the best rates. So what are you waiting for? Give me a call today at 262-448-4141. That's 262-448-4141. The website's kenoshains.com. It's on the screen right now. It's linked down below. Give them a call. Tell them Rita dtalks sent you. The worst that can happen is you will get the best rates. So with all that good stuff out of the way, I'm pumped to be chilling with the two spookiest people I know, and it is spooky season. So let's give a wet welcome back to the mystic duo of Joe Diamond and Loren Purcell. They are here in the building. You guys,
mystic duo.
I'm excited to have you guys back. You
Someone
guys
out there, do it for me.
We gotta get some legal team working on that. That would be exciting.
Exactly.
So you guys, we got this thing coming up.
Yeah.
We've got some interest. This is like the Avengers here of the mystic arts, is what I was saying before we went live. Because the two of you have been on the show before. Mm-hmm. People are very interested. You guys both have a very, very interesting line of work, and you guys are teaming up to bring the people what?
Halloween at the Dole Mansion in Crystal Lake. I've been doing shows there for coming up on 10 years. The only year I didn't do a show there for Halloween was in 2020 during the lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
You were at the virtual show.
I was at the virtual
for that. Yeah. And every other year I've been doing shows there. They have a lovely little theatrical space downstairs. They are currently revamping it. So this year I'm doing my show in the Dole Mansion proper. I'm doing this 1 hour show on the ground floor. It's mind reading. Anyone who's seen my show before, you know it's mind reading, interactive, spooky. And then in years past, what we would do is we would do the show, and then I would take the 13 or so VIPs on a flashlight tour of the mansion.
Wow.
And in the last year and a half, Loren has moved to the Dole, and she's been doing amazing tours there and finding lots of information that I didn't even know about. We can get into some of that later. But when I was putting together for this year, it was like, well, it was right around when she was on the front page of the Northwest Herald too. Like, she's blown up in the last year with all this stuff. And so I was just like, hey, you want to team up for Halloween? And I again, it was almost like we are both psychic, because I didn't even get the last part of Halloween out, and she was like, yes, let's do this. So it's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the 29th, 30th, and 31st. Tickets are already sold out for the 29th on Saturday.
Very cool.
JoeDiamondLive.com/Halloween if anyone is interested. There's a few spots left for the tours both nights, and there's plenty of seats left for the show both nights as well.
Very cool.
And you can also just go to JoeDiamondLive.com and click on the banner at the top of the homepage.
So this is going to work like they're going to come. They get a Joe Diamond experience.
Yes.
Right, and then you're doing a tour with them immediately after. That's a full night right there.
It is.
That's an exciting night, especially spooky season. We have one of the nights is on Halloween, correct?
Yes, which is a Monday, but show is at 8. I'll wrap up around 9-ish.
Yeah.
We'll take a few moments. People will leave. And then the 13 VIPs will stick around, and then your tours last about an hour, 45 minutes or so. And so you'll be done around 10, 10:30.
fine.
You're home before 11. So even on Halloween's on a Monday, which is honestly scarier if you think about it. So
It
all the
is.
more reason
The scariest day
to
of the
come
week.
on a Halloween day.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it.
Wow, that's neat. So when you guys are planning for something like that, there's probably not a whole lot that needs to be said. You guys are just clicking on
it's
all
what-
cylinders.
Yeah, exactly. The joke is whenever we see each other, it's like, hey, you're fine. How am I?
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was just one of those like natural things too. Like the moment we met, it was just instantly like we connected. We had realized we had like known a lot of the same people and ran in some of the same circles, but had never connected until and you came to see my show Mystic this last year.
Yeah.
And her brand for the last like decade or so has been Mystic Chick. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh my gosh, 2 mystics right here. This is great.
You guys were tapping
And-
into some intuition.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
what it was.
exactly. Well,
Something.
I think I mean, this is kind of cheesy to say. It might be a little out there to say, but I truly believe the Dole Mansion brought us there, brought us there.
It calls people.
Yeah.
You think
yeah.
so?
Oh, absolutely. We can dive into several stories in a moment, but the big thing with that place is just, you've got over 100, close to 150 years worth of history and people coming through there, and it can't help but, attract people who are open to it.
Yeah.
And again, Halloween is all about, being open to, the more mysterious and unknown things. And
Yeah.
so it's extra fun for that. And then, to be able to perform in the house too. It's in the main art gallery on the ground floor. It has about 55 seats. So,
Very
it's kind of a hybrid between what you saw in my studio, which was 13 people, and what you saw, at the Tristan Chris Theater
yeah.
in Lake Geneva. It's kind of a hybrid, not quite as big as the big theater show, but not quite as small as the 13 people.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more of a hybrid, but that makes it extra fun and extra spooky and extra exclusive.
Well,
Very
and
cool.
extra because
Yeah.
we both got Best of the Fox. So
Oh, yes,
in live,
yes.
watch live theater and the Just for Fun category. So you're gonna
Yeah.
have like an awesome night if you come.
Yeah, so real quick for anyone who's not in the McHenry
That's what I was
County
gonna say,
area, Best of the Fox is kind of like, every area has their local awards, and it's always, voted on by, people in the area, and let's be real, the business owners, friends and families and employees for the most part.
Yeah.
But in our cases, we're both independent. I don't have another employee.
Yeah, you don't have
Same with you.
staff,
Yeah,
you're not
exactly.
Yeah.
We have friends who might help out, and your family helps out a
My
lot with your
family.
stuff. But at the same time, we're not big, industries or companies. So for the last 4 years, I've always placed in Best of the Fox for Watch Live Theater. It's always, something like the Rouse Center for the Arts or the Opera House in Woodstock, which are big, like 600, 700, 800 seat theaters. They've got donors. They've got, tons of different cast members
Yeah.
coming through for different shows. And the fact that my little 13-person venue has been one of the best along with those two, and they've kind of flip-flopped back and forth between who wins best of. But
Yeah.
for me to be in that top 3 has always been like a thrill.
Yeah.
But this year I won the best.
That's wow.
And-
Congratulations.
And she won Best of the Fox in her first year. It took me 5 years, and your tours. Well, and the other thing too, it's for
That's
Paranormal
skill.
Exploration Illinois, because you've done some in cemeteries and not just the Dole Mansion alone.
Yeah.
There's no cheating going on. You're not manipulating energies to make people go in and vote.
Asked me that. And
Real
or they-
over this Fox,
yes,
this Best
we're
of Fox
Yeah, we're
award.
gonna use our unholy powers for this low-level thing, and yes, you get notice and everything else. But and I'm not talking too much out of school for this, but we then get to have the honor of buying advertising with that logo on it and stuff, and it's part of it. I don't think there's any surprise or big mystery about any of that.
Seems like there's some witchcraft going on.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
the
exactly.
Both of you got
So,
it this year.
Yes, exactly.
a
So
little
I mean,
fishy.
sure, if you want to believe we summoned the dark forces to win this local kind of sort of contest, fine, okay. All
That's
right.
fair. That's fair. So people have really
So-
come up to you and said that, or thought that that's happened.
Oh, we've had so many weird things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people I have people ask me if I'm a Satanist, full out, straight up. I know we joked around last year. I wore the devil horns. You
I
were
was
dressed as
Jesus, yeah.
For Halloween costumes. But I've had people legitimately ask me that out of concern. Yeah.
You give off that vibe. You give
I
off
do.
a
I know.
Satanist
I know.
vibe, yeah.
I'm like, James Corden if he ran hell.
Do you
I
get
know.
any evil spirits or energies coming off of him? Anything exuding from him?
If I did, I could not hang out with him. I can't like partner up with somebody like that.
Yeah,
Keep things
same.
on the right side of the room.
Well, but by the way, too, again, like we've both, and we've talked pretty openly about this too. We've both worked with other people in the mystic arts in this line of work, and you know, artists, performers, you know, those mystically inclined. We're a flaky bunch. We're a artsy fartsy.
I think anybody in the arts, there's a lot of flakiness going on.
Especially in this industry, though. Especially like, oh, can't do that. That's a full moon. Can't work that date. You know, like
That's
that
bad
kind of
luck.
stuff. Yeah,
Like,
exactly, exactly. And you know, that's one of the more minor things I've heard. I mean, so and we've experienced some interesting. It's like, oh yeah, no, I would not wanna. I mean, they're nice, and you know, I'm glad that what they're doing is working for them, but I would not want to team up with them.
Yeah.
for
no.
something,
There are
especially a
no-
project this big.
Yeah, there are no licenses that you need to do our line of work, you know. And so there's a large spectrum of like, you know, basically somebody could just wake up one day and call themselves something, and there's no like verifiable process for any of it. So
Yeah.
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
just kind of take people at like, you know, their work and just
Well, and also why I think, you know, encouraging people to, at least for me, from day one, it's always been about word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like this year is like the first time I like spent a substantial amount on like marketing outside of just like my website and business cards. Like actually bought like, you know, ads.
Ad
Theater.
placement.
Well, yeah, I ran an ad at the McHenry Outdoor Theater, but that was still a creative project. I wanted to see if I could
And
make
it
it
turned
work
out
too.
super
It did,
cool.
it did. So I'm real happy with how that turned out, and I've been, you know, it's all about exploring and trying new stuff for sure, but also, you know, like you said, in this line of work, you gotta, you know, when people in the area do, you know, pick, you know, vote for someone like you or someone like me for their categories, it does wonders. I mean, that always does wonders for any local business, but imagine if like every bakery had to insist that, you know, baked goods existed
That's
before
true, yeah.
people
gotta
bought
try
them,
one.
Yeah.
you know, before they even tried them.
gotta-
So you're only really able to, for the most part, rely on word of mouth and other people coming in
there's
like
more
that. So
hurdles, I think.
yeah,
in
yeah.
our business.
So
Yeah.
we've both had that moment where people go, "What do you do for a living?" And we both are like, there's the little arrow in our heads. It's like, truth, vague, lie. Which do we
Yeah.
do? Which
depends.
on planes, I'm a plumber.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't tell someone I'm sitting next to for the next 5 hours what I do for a living, because I will not get any time to
Oh,
myself.
yeah, that would be good.
And no one wants, my friend Paul Draper said, you know, he always says he's a plumber on planes. He's like, because no one wants to talk about plumbing. That's the end of the conversation.
Fair. Yeah, I guess that
I'm a
is true.
plumber.
I
Oh,
don't-
okay.
yeah.
You know.
There's not a whole lot more I need to know. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So you learn to you know, approach it. Like when I first started at the Dole Mansion, it was like, oh yeah, I do a mind reading show on the 3rd floor. It seats 13 people. I do some Halloween shows, all this. And now when I get to say like, oh yeah, I have a show on the 3rd floor. I actually just won Best of the Fox. Oh, what is it? And because I have that, you know, and it might be psychological on my
validity to
end
it, yeah.
too, you know, I mean, it might be more of the confidence thing on my end as well. But it's definitely, like you said, it gives it some validity and definitely helps out. Again, I think particularly in our line of work, and again, I don't think it's an accident or coincidence that we both ended up at the same place.
No, yeah, I'm not a medium. I'm not inclined at all, right? But I could feel some stuff going on. I could feel some crazy shit going on between this room right here. Have you guys ever? I had told people, I'm like, yo, I got a medium and a magician on today, right? I was like, this guy can read my mind. She can tell me. She could probably tell me whatever my oldest relatives that are long passed away are thinking about me right now, right? And they're like, I'm like, what should I say? What should I ask them? People wanted to know, you guys ever got any dark feelings, anything messed up, anything weird from this studio? You guys have both been here before.
Yeah.
You guys ever got any weird feelings, weird vibes, weird?
No, I felt totally normal walking into a darkened house, into the dark basement, you know, with a bunch of people the first time I came here. Totally normal.
Very cool. Very cool.
No, I mean, I work more so with people. I mean, yes, there's energies around us, and particularly in places like the Dole. But like, I'm not, if I'm coming to like a company event or a corporate event or performing in a theater, I'm not like, I'm just working with what is there as far as the people goes. I'm not bringing any like energies or other than my own energies. I'm not bringing any entities or, you know, dark spirits or anything like that. I'm just working with what's out there with people. I've gotten weird stuff from people where it's like, I pick someone, they stand up, and I'm like, oh, don't talk about that time in middle school. Okay. Like now for the most part, I think we all get moments like that. We've all met someone and been like, don't leave your wallet on the table around this person, or don't leave your female identifying friends alone with this guy. You know, like we all get those vibes. You know, we don't always find out how accurate or inaccurate those vibes are because we find out a way to politely navigate it and hopefully never find out. Exactly.
Are you like saying though, like this particular building, you get stuff?
Is there any?
Yeah, this
anybody
is a question for
is
you.
Dead in here?
Wonkiness
Is there any
in
weird
here?
shit going on in this basement?
Well,
I think there's been rats for sure before. Not recently, but yeah, there's definitely
Do
been.
we want to ask? We can ask.
Oh, she's got stuff here for us.
Yeah, she's got stuff. You brought your thing.
I brought something for you. So you can decide if you want to open this first or if you want to ask if there's wonky.
Let's ask first, then I'll open that.
Okay,
Let's do
all
that.
right. All right.
So-
Pass that over. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Look at that.
So, but I do have a question beforehand. Like
Okay.
2 questions actually. One of them is like, have you ever like been down here by yourself and gotten creeped out, or have you like noticed when you have done podcast episodes with groups of people that you've gotten certain energies coming out?
Not during a show. I've definitely been down here a lot alone, and just, you know, it's a dark basement. I that's what I brush it off as, right? But I don't know. There's been some weird moments for sure.
Okay, and like weird meaning like you just, your heart races, or you feel freaked out, or your hair stands on end?
A little bit of that, where I'm just like, okay, I don't know what is happening right here, but I feel a little weird about this. Like I feel like I don't know if it's I feel that someone's there. Is more of like it's just like, oh, I'm aware that something is off right now. I don't know what that is.
Okay, what's your sign again?
A Scorpio.
Oh yeah.
Why is that so funny? Why is that so funny?
But by the way, real quick, let me just point out too, she's not doing a bit. I've seen her, like, she'll ask people their signs, and like it's always different. It's always like, yeah. So let me just be clear. So why is this significant now?
Okay,
Because I know the signs, but I don't know all like the intricacies like you do.
Yeah, well, because Scorpios like, and sometimes they'll fight it, but because our culture doesn't like really leave a lot open for this type of discussion. But you are more in touch with like other realms than any other sign. You actually are able to walk that line between life and death. You're in that gray zone. So,
in what terms? In what way?
in like your sensitivity,
Oh, really?
your abilities, just like
shit.
how you're grown.
So I'm a medium.
You could be.
I could be one.
Yes.
I could-
I think that a lot of times, number one, we've both agreed that everybody has like psychic potential and psychic abilities, and whether or not you develop them, that's one thing. Or some people are genetically predisposed to just have more of that ability, just like basketball players or anything else.
Yes, exactly.
Some guys are 6'8", some guys
Yeah. So,
5'10".
well, and like that's the other thing too. Like to just clarify too, like mediums are those who are the medium between this world and the next, who can commune with spirits and stuff, which is different from like telepathy, where I'm just picking up. Mediumship is a form of telepathy, which is why it gets confusing, I think, for people, and why people think I am a medium.
Yeah.
Because again, it's I'm picking up on thoughts, but it's from.
But yours is
living
more
people.
me and you. Hers
Yeah,
is maybe more on the spiritual plane of
Yes,
things. Okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. If you think of something, I'll figure it out one way or another using a variety of techniques. You're not, if it comes up from the things around you and they think it's important for you to say,
Right.
I think I'm distinguishing it too,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah,
sensing
yeah.
sensing that some people were wondering more of the differences
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
No, you're
yeah,
right.
so-
And I think like, so you have a lot of potential already in you naturally, and that if you were to develop it, you would be surprised at what you could accomplish, or like just know. And you really should consider taking one more tours, just because like
The force is strong with me. Is what you're saying.
I teach
Yeah.
people how to work with their energy on part of the tour. So it's like it's like your own personal connection with the spirit realm, and the mansion itself is a conduit for you.
Because of the history of the building, you think?
Because
it's
of the layers of history and the energy that's built up over time. Because it's over time, it had started out as, you know, a mansion for a wealthy person for their summer home. And then it kind of eventually transitioned to Eliza Ringling. And then she had the circus people staying there. And she would actually, you know, she did a lot of interesting things in the mansion herself. And then the Franciscans came and turned it into a boys' school for a long, long time. And then a church came over and bought
it's
it.
flipped a bunch of times. Then.
Yeah.
So
Okay, a lot
it kept
of things.
building up layers of different energy, and people come in there and they connect depending on where they're at in their lives. They connect with all different people in those layers, like
and we can talk about, you know, skepticism versus cynicism and all that stuff. All I'll say is, I see people as they're getting out of their cars and looking at this building, and they're always in awe.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, I don't care if you say you're the most diehard skeptic. You get out of your car, you look at that building lit up at night, and you go, "Oh, this is a special place. There's
Checks out.
something." Yeah, it feels like something supernatural could happen here. So
It
so
is,
yeah,
and
so
it's a positive
like a
energy.
dark, creepy basement with a Chucky
fair.
poster off off camera.
Yeah.
So.
So do you know how old this house is, or like where? Because obviously there's been a lot going on with the land itself here. but-
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think 40s maybe.
Okay.
Like the 40s, I think it was probably built.
Yeah.
I'd have to check, but I think that's around where.
Okay.
That could be. I could have just pulled that completely out of my ass. I have
Sure.
no idea. I know it's an older house, but yeah.
So we could just ask, like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's like, no, he's lying. That's what
no,
it's saying?
this is already answering the question that I was thinking in my head.
There you go.
Okay.
So sometimes it does that if like the spirit realm is like really invested in the answer, but I'm like, so is there paranormal activity in this home? And it's saying yes. So it's just about kind of connecting with, and it could be, again, like people who had lived here before. Maybe somebody died in the house. I don't know. But it also could be somebody who died on this land before the house was built, or just the energy of the land itself.
Yeah.
Or who had lived here
Well,
in
like the
tribes or things
Dole,
like that.
he's got a lot of different things from a lot of different places too.
Yeah.
Like, do you even know where this table came from? I can tell it's like.
This is old.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
very old.
You probably grabbed
I
this
have
at like
no idea. It was given to me by my.
Yeah,
I think
there
it's
you
my
go.
mom's.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
So literally, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and things can attach to furniture, so it could be
Yeah.
just that
There's somebody in here.
Somebody,
We switched tables a while ago. We just switched back to this one, so maybe there's some
yeah,
vibes,
'cause
some
I think
anger.
this was the table that I
Yes,
was with.
yes.
Yeah.
You had this one. We switched to a different one. We switched back for a little bit here, but
See, but it's nothing is an accident. Like I was meant to kind of like be with this energy though of this
Yeah.
particular table.
so this table, yeah, it wanted you here.
It
so
did.
It was like we got to
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah,
Well,
it happens that way.
and at the Dole on your tours, I mean, there's all this furniture that's from all these different places. So there, of course, like none of it's original to the house, which initially you're like, oh, bummer, it's not like, you know, the actual
Yeah.
I mean,
bed
it's
that
how
Dole
old,
slept
like,
in.
Yeah. How,
But
What do you
they're
want?
all bringing their own vibes and such.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think necessarily, as far as I've seen and experienced in research, it's not like someone's like consciousness or like spirit is in like, again, the table or the furniture, the thing.
That's kind of where we beg to differ.
That's fair.
We
That's
got a
fair.
debate here.
Well, oh yeah. Oh,
Let's
well,
go.
let's talk about, because I have done psychometry. I have done.
Let's go there.
Let's go there. I have done, which again is in some ways a form of, you know, telepathy. It's psychometry, which again is also similar to mediumship. Psychometry literally means soul reading. The idea that objects we carry with us can absorb a part of our personalities and maybe a part of our souls. And when someone holds on to it and I mean, I'll explain exactly how I do this. There's not a trick to it. There's not a secret to it. I just hold the object and go with what comes to me naturally. And if I get nothing, I say, you know, I'm not getting anything off of this right now. I'll try again later. And sometimes I get stuff and I'm even like, where did that come from? I don't think necessarily I'm commuting with that, you know, a dead spirit connected to that. object. At least I don't think so. And I've never had anything come through that I felt was more than just getting the general vibes of maybe the person who it belonged to, that kind of thing. With the exception of one object, which I'll get to in a moment, but first I want to hear your side of this.
All right, so a couple things. One of them is that everybody is like resonating, vibrating at their own energetic frequencies. Okay? So some people are going to pick up on if there was an energetic kind of stamp. Everybody leaves their energy stamp, like you were talking about. That's so, on things, whether they die and become attached to it, or whether they're just a spirit and they used it a lot or something. They're leaving a mark.
So what about this ranch though? One of my homies brought this ranch a couple weeks back. He kind of, I love him. He kind of weird guy sometimes. He gave me this Chipotle ranch. That may or may not be expired.
Fair enough. That said,
did he stamp this?
Maybe.
Yeah, because he touched it. He cares about it. It's something that's a part of him. That Chipotle ranch is like an aspect of him. Yeah. So.
So here's the thing: if people do tend to, play devil's advocate or go, the silly route or the more skeptical route, which is fine.
Okay.
I always point out, then why do original film memorabilia or sports memorabilia matter? Unless why is a signed baseball card more valuable than just a Xerox copy? That's a perfect copy in every single way, except one was held in the hands of the person and he signed it with his own hand, and the other wasn't. That is the difference between hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's funny because the people who are the most skeptical about it typically almost always have some kind of signed jersey in their basement. That's just the thing I'm pointing out. And it's like, if objects didn't hold that kind of vibe that we understood on a deeper level than just the logical level, it's like, well, that jersey should be ruined. There's ink on it, It's like, it was played in. It's
now
used.
It's a real life NFT though.
That's real life NFT. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, the only time I got, so the other thing too is I come at this almost purely from the more, for lack of a better term, entertainment standpoint. I've done shows my whole life. I've always been fascinated with this weird stuff. I've never had the opportunity until recently to just kind of let go and not have to make it a show where everyone feels good and positive. And not that I think that I need to be, Mr. Saturday Night all the time, but you've seen the show. There's some spooky moments in the show and moments where hopefully people are on the edge of their seats. But at the same time, I hope people realize it's in a safe environment. That said, I was doing this psychometry demonstration in my shows. I'd have them sealed up in envelopes and then mixed up, and then throughout the show, I would pick one up, tear it open, take out the object, read it, and then very often give it back to who it belonged to in the room. So that person got a reading, and for everyone else, rather than hearing and having a conversation back and forth about how accurate I was, which can be not very entertaining, me finding who it belonged to is entertaining, and thus, quote unquote, proves that I picked up on everything. I reach in, I take out a necklace, I'm picking up on some stuff, and I'm just going. I haven't even really fully looked at the necklace. I'm going, and I go to look at it, and I realize that the crystal in the middle of this is not a crystal, it is a vial.
Oh.
And there are ashes inside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Because I'm now in the situation where, okay, let's set aside, what this is and what it isn't and all this other stuff. Me taking someone's literal dead, pieces of their dead relative and turning it into, hey, yuck, waka 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 for my show is not great. Is not great. And that's why very often in shows,
humor it would be.
hopefully, but you don't know.
This is on a necklace?
This was on a necklace. Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. That's a weird fashion statement anyways.
It is. And but I don't know if the person has given it to me because they wanted to challenge me. Maybe they thought I could give them a message. Maybe
they were
I
not thinking. They're wearing a dead person on their neck. They weren't thinking about
this
anything.
This wasn't the first misstep, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
There were several steps that led us to this.
Yeah.
They were wearing that. They bought a ticket to a show called Paranormal. Yes, we're on the same agreement,
Okay.
but not everyone else was signed on for that.
Yeah,
so I need to keep that person in mind, but also everyone else. so then they were thankful afterwards, and they were nice, they were cool about it. But yeah, like I had, I tread lightly at that point because again, I don't want to take that person's memories and trample on them when it's, and again, the context is different. I'm doing a show. And even in the tours for you, it's very much not, it's an experience. It's not something that is, show busy and everything else. And like, even when I did the tours in the past, my initial thought was like, oh my gosh, I have to script everything, find out all this and everything. And after like the first tour or second tour, I realized, oh, none of that matters. Just as long as you get the history right, you're honest with people and take people, and be the guide. That's as much as you normally need. That said, the amount of activity, like you get way more activity on your tours than I ever had on mine. And you've found so much great history about the building too that I didn't even know about.
Maybe that's because she's feeling the stuff through the furniture a little bit. So
That,
you said
yes.
that's where you guys differ, though. I want to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah. So I mean, people leave their energetic stamp on objects, whether or not. So with ghosts, they can be bound to a person, place, or thing. So, theoretically, if they couldn't let go of, their favorite couch or something, they could be bound to that. And we have come across a couple of cases where, like, certain things happen. So if somebody dies and they're not aware they're dead, it's kind of a traumatic death or just something where they don't know that they're dead, they can tend to bind to something just because they didn't have the awareness. So, like, there is kind of like a ghost baby situation who's just like, they were too young to even understand what had happened, so they're kind of
that makes sense.
attached. But a lot of times, just even getting somebody using a couch a bunch, it was their favorite piece of furniture, you will get stuff from it. So there's layers of
so if
stuff.
I'm a hoarder, what happens then? Am I putting myself at risk to maybe be hanging out with more people's spirits?
A hoarder of antiques.
See, here's what happens to me. Every time somebody else is moving, getting rid of things, whatever.
Yeah.
I grew up poor, so it's like I just have this knee-jerk reaction
Just
to like,
Save
oh, you're
stuff.
getting rid of a couch? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't. And then I end up having. I just got rid of a bunch of couches that I had taken from people that I didn't need. I had like 4 couches down here.
Okay,
And
so that's important though. You need to be aware of what you're taking in. And like if the person, you have to think about the situation, why the person was getting rid of it, who the person was, if you knew them or not, or if you had heard stories about, like if they were in a several string of like bad luck incidents or had been having a lot of health issues, accidents. You do not want their furniture, okay? Because then you're taking on that energy, but you're bringing that in.
Nothing's free, Darren.
Free, I
Yeah,
guess.
Nothing's free.
don't do it. Do not do it.
The couch is haunted.
There can't
That's
be,
that's my new book, Haunted Couch.
There's silvers gets haunted a lot.
Oh yeah.
Silver?
Yeah.
Silver, pieces of silver. People weirdly could not let go of their silver collections, and then they would dole it out to their grandkids, so everybody would get some of the silver, and then you'd have mass hauntings everywhere.
Really?
So, yeah, it's just a weird thing, but
That's interesting. I'm glad.
have a couple spoons. It's real
man.
silver, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want. Luckily, I haven't been given any silverware, so
There you go.
I usually don't take people's
There you go.
silverware. It's usually couches and chairs and things.
Yeah.
Other things I don't need, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think that they can't or necessarily don't attach
well,
to it, and you believe that
I don't. If they do, I don't feel it.
Yeah, well,
If they do, I don't pick up on any of that stuff. I am getting just purely, again, the vibes, the history, the energy, whether the person, like if I get a watch, I'll usually be able to sense like, oh, okay, was this only owned by this person? Was it owned by multiple people? I can pick up on those things, but like it's not to the level of what you're saying.
Does it count if the factory workers, they touched the toy, like they built the toy in Taiwan?
I
sent
have
it?
a story about that.
Oh shit! I was gonna make a
okay.
tongue-in-cheek joke, but let's go.
My feeling is like, no, it's if
You have to have value.
yeah, like what I say in my shows is I say if you just happen to have some change in your pocket, that's just change you happen to have in your pocket on any given day. But if you have a lucky coin that you always carry with you,
You're so
then
much
that
more
becomes
practical-minded than I am.
yes, that's fair.
So what
that's
happened
fair.
with
So,
this
okay, so tell us about
Taiwanese
this.
toy?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a toy. It was a. This is so embarrassing.
Oh no.
It was. It was a statue, okay? It was a Victorian dressed statue of a cat.
Okay.
That I was looking to put into my studio as a doorstep, okay? And I had recently done, or I don't know if this was before or after, but I had done a podcast episode on animism. So, like, different cultures believed that you could, like, infuse, like, different spirits into things, and then those objects would kind of be a tangible representation of that spirit or god or goddess or things like that.
Okay.
So this cat was clay, and it was made in Vietnam, I think, and brought it into the studio, had it there for several days, and the studio is very high energy. The annex, which was added on a little bit later than the mansion itself, has a ton of energy because Eliza Ringling built that, and she had the off-season circus people staying there, and it was just, there was a lot of energy. So the cat sat there for several days in that energy, and then I was like working a late night, and I was packing up, and I moved him a little bit, shifted him away from the door, and his little clay, just a clay, no paint, nothing, but his eyes flashed, and I'm like, oh no. What did I do?
Flashed, like how?
Like just like this little energetic flash across him, like light just kind of flashed. And I just I got chills. I'm like, oh no. And so then I started like looking into the history of that, culture and everything else, and finding out that they did they still believe in animism, especially in the more rural areas. And it was clay, so it was probably made in a more rural area. They do a lot of handmade stuff. And it was kind of, so I have this Vietnamese immortal water spirit in my studio encased in this cat. And so, but the issue with this is the problem, is that in their culture, if you have an object, you have to appease it, okay? Like, it was a little bit angry when I got it, and that's why its eyes flashed, and it's like a hugely protective as long as you make it happy. You have to honor it. You have to say, hey, you're doing a great job. So every time I leave my studio, I'm like, thank you so much for looking after my studio. You're doing an awesome job. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is the thing, because and I was like, why did I bring in something so kind of volatile into my studio? This is a happy place. And it happened to be a few weeks to a month before I started dealing with some pretty toxic people that had taken up a studio in the building for a while. So it was to protect me and my studio, but I needed some kind of big dog energy. So in a cat form.
Wow. Why can't you just
and
you
it
can't
works
just get 'em
because
out of it, throw them out the window?
No, you don't want to though.
That'll mess you up?
Yeah, because that'll make him angry. Do not make him angry.
Can he get you though if he's stuck in the thing? If you
well,
move the object?
it's energy, so things can
so
just
he could
happen
just-
to you.
He could just
You could take a fall down the stairs. I mean, we're thinking,
Yeah.
How it's got to be weird for both you guys, when you have a late night at this place. This is a haunted mansion you guys work at, you know, and you're like oh shit, I forgot my keys, and you go back, you're like, oh, and you just something flickers in the hallway, you're like, I'm gonna walk home today. I don't need it. I don't need a car.
Nothing that extreme for me. I've always gotten good vibes from the house, that it whatever and whoever is there, they like it when people are there, they like it when I'm there, they like it when you're there. If they don't like it when you're there, they kind of let you know, and it's not evil or bad. They'll just make things that shouldn't happen in your studio happen, and we'll leave it at that. But I'll tell you more. Well, we'll see. And again, for me, my biggest thing with the dole has been not so much lights flickering or doors closing or shadow people. I've caught weird things on camera there for sure, but my whole thing is a lot of synchronicities, a lot of things where most people would brush it off as just a coincidence, but there's too many, especially there. So I think I've told you the full story of Flora, the doll I have.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I know.
I should have brought her with me.
But it's
next
kind
time.
of to set it up though. I do describe the building as The Shining in a positive sense.
Yes.
So because everybody who goes there for a reason. And people find each other and find connections. So yeah.
Well, if you go on my social media, I'll definitely be sharing a picture of her in the next few days. She will be in the Halloween show. I have a Victorian style creepy doll named Flora. She's not evil. She's just broken, like all of us. She's missing one eye, and the story behind her is I met her at the Dole Mansion. There was a woman, I can't remember her name, but her company name, I believe she's still on Etsy, was Day of the Dollies.
Okay.
And she had over 100 refurbished dolls on display for one of the art shows at the Dole. And some of these did look creepy. Like the one had a face like the cheek was pulled away and there was like human-sized teeth in there. That was a little disturbing. When I say
These are,
Flora
like,
was...
how big? The size of, like, American
Yeah,
Girl
like
doll?
some of them were this big, some of them were American Girl doll
Well,
size.
you
Yeah.
don't even have to do anything
Yeah.
to those. They're just
Yeah, they're just creepy on their
Yeah, they
own.
are.
Yeah.
especially the ones
Exactly.
that look like you.
Yeah.
yeah,
What was that one meme where they were like, "Oh, American Girl announced their first doll that is deaf. You know, they're in their diversity collection. They have a deaf doll." And someone went, "Wait, the other ones can hear us?"
Jesus Christ, yeah.
So they all these dolls, they all had little name tags and with the prices on them as well. And there was this one, I locked eye with her because she's missing one eye, and I was like, "Oh, you and me. We're best friends now." Kind of like when you and I met. But I look, and her name is Flora. That's the name on the tag. All these other ones had like names like Beatrice and all this stuff. The price was on there as well. So I went up to, it was actually Patty, who still works at the Dole, and I said, "Hi, I want to buy one of the dolls." She said, "Okay, well, you're going to have to leave it on display until the end of the art show run." I'm like, "That's fine. Here's my card. She's mine. No one else gets her. She's mine." Swipe the card, fine, take some pictures of her, go home and tell my now wife what I had purchased. And initially she's like, "Is it going to stay at your studio?" And I'm thinking, oh no, I was just too weird. I finally hit the too
crossed the
weird.
line.
We're coming up on a year living together at the time. I just hit the line. I was like, "Why, is it too freaky?" She's like, "No, because if it stays at the studio, it's a tax write-off." I was like, "Oh, good point. This is why I love you." So if it's there, it's staging. If it's at home, it's just decoration. So I had gotten out a bunch of horror movies to watch. I always watch spooky movies this time of year. And she picked a random movie that she hadn't seen yet called The Innocents. Now, it is based on the story The Turning of the Screw, which I think was a play and a book. I can't remember exactly. But it's what The Haunting of Bly Manor was based on, which was on Netflix a few years ago. Okay. We put it on. Well, the name of the little girl in that movie, in that story, is named Flora, which was the same name as the doll. That's kind of weird because Flora's not a common name. I mean, and here's the other thing
It's
too.
the first time I've heard it today.
Yeah, well, here's the thing though too. Like, you've seen me like guess names people are thinking of, and one of the things they always say is like, "Oh, that's such an unusual name." And people have said that about like Jonathan or Darren. Yeah. Flora's an unusual name.
That's
like,
a weird name.
definitely. So that's pretty uncanny. So we watch the movie, and I kind of file it away in my head, like, "Oh, that's kind of a weird coincidence." And then she's like, "You want to watch one more?" I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of late though." And so I have all the Universal monster movies, Dracula, the Wolfman, and all of those are 70 minutes, so they're a little shorter than the traditional movie. So it was like, "All right, pick one of these at random." So she picked one at random, and it was The Invisible Man, starring Claude Rains. And the name of the love interest in that movie was Flora.
God.
3 Floras within
Hours.
6 hours tops. Like, from when I saw that doll to when that movie was chosen.
Yeah.
Like, all in the same. Like, if it was a week later or something, yeah, that's when it's coincidence. But when that happens, that's pretty uncanny. And I've had stuff like that happen at shows all the time. I've had people run into each other who haven't seen each other in decades. I've had people show up and I was like, "Oh, you had the same last name. I thought maybe you were together." And they like realized they're cousins and they had no idea. I've had people coming to my shows while another event was happening in the building and they run into someone again that they haven't seen. So weird connections and, synchronicities do happen at the Dole all the time.
Yeah.
And in the Halloween show, so Flora is going to be closing the Halloween show all 3 nights, and we'll be doing a test of, I guess you could say, coincidence with her and about 100 different potential creepy doll names. I don't want to spoil too much. We'll see what happens.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's there will be the traditional Joe Diamond mind reading stuff in the show again. I'll be doing the staple gun Russian roulette again because that's been a big hit lately.
Am I gonna have to hide?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I can't handle blood.
No, it's At most I'll get 2 little pinpricks in my head. I'll barely bleed in my hand. I'll barely bleed. I won't do it in my head. My mentor did. He used to do his forehead, and if you look, there's a very faint little little mark, and there's another mark about staple width away, and so that's why I'm having people fire into my palm. It's also, believe it or not, it's a very touching story about my grandfather. Actually, no, you saw it. So for people listening, it actually is about, and Halloween is about remembering those who have passed away and those who have come before us, and this is a way to do that. I wouldn't do it if it didn't have that connection to my grandfather. That is the only reason I would do something like that, and there'll be a first aid kit on hand, and worst case scenario, I'll get 2 little pinpricks in my palm. We'll put a bandage on, and I'll get back to work. So the worst case scenario is I'll end up just like my grandfather,
which is beautiful.
Which is beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, ending up just like your family is scary on its own level, but it is Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween, and that's what Halloween's all about. A little blood is okay.
And that's only if things go dramatically wrong.
Speaking of Halloween,
I predict it won't.
You guys have the show coming up for Halloween. Do you guys? I had a couple people ask me. Do you feel as if is it true that the spiritual plane is closer, easier to access around this time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I believe
for
so.
thousands of years, cultures have believed that. That's why they have Dia de los Muertos, which is just 2 days after that. And there's a lot of old pagan rituals around that stuff too. It is, and you can feel it. You can definitely feel the difference.
Yeah, and it's a time of change anyway. I mean, the death card in the traditional tarot deck is about change and transformation, and that's what the autumn months are. The trees are literally, changing color and dying and transforming colors and everything. And it is and I mean, no matter which way you slice it, it is the time of year where even if it's the thing I try to point out again to skeptics is even if all of this is just in our heads, first of all, that means our brains are amazing. And second of all, we still understand on a deeper psychological level that this is a time of year for change, for transformation of life, death, and resurrection and rebirth. And it's, it's getting darker earlier. It's just natural that time of year, for that time of year. It's kind of the perfect, I think we've joked about this too. It's kind of the perfect time of year to really kind of challenge your skepticism too. So we saw a meme and we shared, I can't remember if I shared it with you or if you shared it with me, you know the one I'm talking about, where it's anytime someone says they don't believe in witchcraft, ask them for a lock of their hair.
Oh yeah.
See if they give it to you. If they do, they then sure. But I guarantee you the most diehard skeptics still won't give you their hair and fingernails, even if you say it's for an art project.
You know what I think is interesting though about us is that I'm actually I have a master's in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology, and you end up employing a lot more psychology than I do.
Yes. I mean, there's
you're saying all this. I mean, I do it in a different way. I'm a ghost counselor. I'm a spirit counselor. I kind of work as a medium to get people to connect with what they need to know from that realm.
You've also worked with people as a therapist and a coach and stuff in the past too. So, and by the way too, let me just point this out too. That's I think part of the reasons why not only we connected so early on too, but also like you said, there's very little barrier to entry. So even when people have asked me in the past, I have friends who are mediums, and a lot of them are really gifted and really talented. But almost instantly when you told me that, with your background in psychology and such, it's oh, well, I'm going to, anyone who's looking for that, I'm going to send them to you, because there's going to be a point where okay, I know whether to bust out the pendulum or say, you might want to talk to your doctor about some meds.
I do have a story about that, because I collaborate with different paranormal groups who are looking to deal with their own ghost issues and whatever. And I'd gotten contacted a month or two ago by this one guy who leads a paranormal group, an hour or two away from my house. And he was like really worried about this ghost. He was worried she was a young girl. She was attached to this junior high. He was worried that it had just gotten bought and that maybe it was going to get raised and what was going to happen to this poor girl, and like just really worried about it. And so I started asking him questions, and I'm like, yeah, so, you know, can you tell me a little bit about the building, the history of, you know, what had happened there? How did she die? You know, all that. And he's like, well, you know, she died, I think, in a car accident, and I think it was on the way back to the school. Then it turns out that there had been multiple other car accidents right near the school. Then it turns out that, oh yeah, that school burnt down. Oh wait, no, it burnt down twice. And
Jesus Christ.
And he's talking about all this stuff, and first of all, I'm like, okay, getting a sense, like, I do not want to, because he wanted me to go and visit the property and see, you know, figure that, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not a ghost. And so, like, we're working on it further, and it turned out he was a Scorpio too, who wasn't like, the problem, especially the Scorpios have, is that they're so drawn to stuff like this, but they don't know to protect themselves because it's not like a part of normal reality, so you're just kind of left open and vulnerable. So like something had kind of connected with him, but it was actually a negative entity, and so it was the energy of the land was bad, like everything. Like it turned out there were like a lot of like drug dealers and stuff around there, and like
That's a
bunch
public
of,
school, right? That's a public school.
well, but it was
That's what it is.
it was this
I went to
area,
public school.
and so and then he's like, yeah, we had a medium come out to try to work with this, and you know, the guy came and he left and his disease came back, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will work with you over the phone. We did the pendulum. Like, I knew exactly what it was. But I'm like, yeah, that's negative energy. That's a negative entity. And you do not want to go near that. That is...
Yeah.
Is a negative, by a negative entity, do you mean it could potentially be like a demon? Is that a type of thing?
That's what people think negative entities are demons. But it's actually like just, you know, it's a word to use. But the demons, I think, you know, have a much different connotation than what it really is. But it's anything that will like suck your emotional energy, make you sick, bring a lot of like problems to your life, kind of stuff. So that,
And also too, well, and again, going down that path, yes, absolutely. But also, you've also had to just say to some people like, no, don't get in the car and start driving. You're not hearing the voices you're hearing aren't spirits.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so like it's because I mean there are people who, you know, I personally use the term incomplete. I attract a lot of them, and I don't tell too many stories about it because a lot of these people, I don't want to make fun of people or something, but I've definitely gotten some very odd questions or requests from people. One woman asked, well, I'll say this one. This was an email. It could have been a prank, but apparently they wanted me to donate sperm so that their child could have the same psychic gifts I have.
That's
apparently
crazy. That's a wild thing to ask.
Yeah, I mean, well, I want to be careful because I this person who emailed me for it did come to my shows, and like, so I don't want to like I don't know if like they
It was
were
in the room.
I don't know if they were like messing with me. I don't know if like, you know, this person could still show up at my shows. And so I'm trying to be as like,
That's an impressive pickup line if they were.
it is if you think about it, but also like I try not to say anyone's crazy or anything like that. I try to say, you know, there's some incomplete people. There's some people who have, you know, they're operating at different frequency than us. Yeah. And they think that, oh, that will be the thing. And this has happened to each of us. We've both become prophets for religions we didn't believe in because people have met us and been like, oh, I've been looking for someone like you my whole life, and I have just decided right now after 5 minutes it's you, and I'm gonna unload all this on you and tell you why this is a big deal, and why, and we're just like, yep, we're back in this now. It's back to this. Okay, yep.
So you might not say it, I'll say it. Some people are fucking crazy, bro. These people be wilding. It's okay. It's okay. We're all wilding a little bit. We all have our things.
Yeah,
I mean, some people want magician sperm. That's okay. That's all right. That's what we're in here for. It's part of the biz.
Yes. I mean, and yes, I used to look for those people a lot, but but oh God, sorry. I'm sorry, all my loved ones who just heard me say that.
Speaking of the business, right? We kind of pivot a little bit.
Okay.
What is Would you prefer mind reader or magician for this next segment?
I mean, I think I go by mind reader just because if people hear the word magician, they do tend to think of pulling a rabbit out of a hat or something more like what Tristan Chris does, sawing woman in half. And if you come to my show, that's not that, you can call you if you want to see it as a form of performance magic and that kind of artistic expression. That's fine. I have no shame with taking that title on, but at the same time, I think from just from a cynical branding standpoint, I think if people heard that and saw my show, they'd be very disappointed. In fact, I know it's happened. My only 1-star TripAdvisor review for my 13th hour show was from someone.
There's always one.
Out of 114 or whatever 5-star reviews, there's one 1-star review, and they were like, "Oh, we thought it was gonna be," and it's very clear they thought I was gonna be making people levitate and stuff like that. No, I was just reading minds, and that wasn't what they expected. So I'm careful. I'm very careful how to put it. For the longest time, I did avoid the title psychic because so many people, when they hear that, they assume you are a medium, which is fine if you are.
Yeah, but it's such a loose term.
Very different.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
Like psychic is more, at least from people like me, normie would think like, oh, that's like future based. That's like we're trying to look into somebody right now and think about what's going to happen. A medium would feel like a little bit more now and past, right?
Yeah. Whereas again, mind reader, you say that, people say, it's funny because people are like, what does that mean? And then I try to describe it, then they see the show and they're like, oh, I had no idea it would be like that. It's like, well, I told you I was going to do that.
So mind reader.
For the most part. Yeah.
So a mind reader and a medium.
Yes.
Right. What is something that either of you have maybe heard a stereotype about the other's profession, line of work that you've heard that is kind of like what do the mind readers be thinking about mediums generally? What do mediums be thinking about mind readers?
I've got one. If you need time,
you never heard anything.
Oh, come on! You had to have heard. You have to have heard about cheesy magicians or goofy mentalists wearing a giant.
Oh, the
turban with a feather,
right,
being like Nightmare Alley type stuff.
Yeah.
So
or the hypnotizing where they look at you and they have their hand in
yeah. So more so that, so more like the over the top cheesy.
Yeah, I think over the top and cheesy, or just little kids stuff, like magic tricks are for kids or something like that.
Yeah. The big thing that, and it's so funny because I see this with a lot of other magicians and mentalists in my industry. They all, I shouldn't say all, but a concerning majority not only brush away psychic phenomena and mediums for the most part, but they see it as a con. They think that you have figured out how to say the right things to the right people to get them on the hook, to get thousands of dollars from them over the year. Now, and of course, every 3 to 4 years, there's an article about a psychic who's defrauded someone out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
There's banks that do the same thing.
And I'll just say there's every time you see one of those stories about a psychic, there's 3 about a televangelist, but we'll leave it at that. Yeah. So we don't want to get into too much of that right now. And that's just simply not the case. I mean, every person I've met in the metaphysical community is, for the most part, now, yes, aside from the professional quirks like we've talked about, and I have lots of friends in both communities I've worked with a lot, and there's some I haven't and everything else, but there is the one thing that unites all of them is they do feel like they do have this overwhelming want and desire to help people. It's almost like, and this is the thing I'll say, every time you see a magician or even a lot of mentalists on stage, it's all about me and my great power and blah, blah, blah. And it's, I try to make my shows not about that. I try to make my shows about the audience as much as possible. Yeah. That said, it's a complete lack of, self-service. You want to help the people and allow them to move on. You don't want to keep them And again, if you saw the kind of people that, we could keep on the hook, you wouldn't want to keep them on the hook. Again, going back to what we said before, it's like, no, like you don't, it doesn't matter how loaded that person is. You have to deal with all of this as it's going on. So, and I think they just think that because you've learned how to read tarot cards, it's suddenly you have decided to be you're either very naive or you have decided it's a scam. And I've met neither. Yeah. I mean, I've met people who are naive about other things, about maybe the business side of it, or whether or not someone had their best interests at heart and that kind of stuff. But like, I mean, we all have our blind spots, of course, but like, they are not the weird, because again, going back to magicians are terrified of magic. You will see a magician do an amazing piece of, we'll just say, card magic, and people will get quiet, and then they'll make a stupid joke as if like, don't take this too seriously. Or you see some magicians who go, okay, now what I'm about to do, don't get too caught up with this. It is a trick. It uses, psychology or sleight of hand or all that, and then explain it. And I think that's, at best, it's hurting the art form. And at worst, I think it's treating people like they're dumb. Like if Johnny Depp in the middle of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie just stopped and went, hey, I know I'm probably going to get nominated for an Oscar for this role right now, but don't get too caught up. I'm not really a pirate. Like, no, you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that. It's like if a musician was playing a beautiful, piano piece and people start crying, they don't go, no, this isn't music, it's just sound. Look, if I hit this, it hits that thing. Yeah, exactly. And we understand. Yeah, that person knows this is an instrument, but we still cry when Bambi's mom dies. Spoiler alert. Even though it's just ink on paper and voices that were pre-recorded close to 100 years ago. Yeah. We still bawl our eyes out. We still cry our eyes out the first 10 minutes of Up. Like, even though those are computer generated images, you're having, and it seems like, again, they're afraid of that aspect. They're afraid of having any kind of real depth or emotion to what they're doing. Yes, if someone comes up to me and asks me to help them with I've had people message me asking if I could help the police with a case and stuff like that. Some of it has been,
Psych.
Psych is a great show.
That show is phenomenal.
But it's also a show. Yeah. We also know, hey, finding dead bodies every week isn't as fun and plucky as it probably is or seems on that show, That said, yes, I love that show. It's a great show. But it's, I don't want to, and that's the other thing too. I don't want to look for, a missing kid. That's that I get we've talked about this too. I'm so empathetic with a lot of stuff, and I get drained super easily. I get drained from like just a weird show. I can't imagine going out and having to talk to the last 5 people who saw this missing kid. I can't imagine how I would deal with that. And I do try to, I do believe that, any kind of art form can be healing. It can be good therapy and, in conjunction with actual therapy.
It is not a replacement.
Yes, it is not a replacement, exactly.
Don't stop taking medications and just go to a bunch of, magic shows.
Exactly.
Yeah, make you feel better for a minute though.
Minute or hour show. You're getting your money's worth with that.
So, because I could imagine that would be difficult taking stuff like that home. How do you not take stuff home like that?
Yeah,
that's in your line of work, being a medium. If somebody's coming to you, especially if they're hurting, right, and they want closure, maybe someone passed away untimely, and they're coming to you for something like that. Right. How do you not?
Real quick, let me just say and publicly thank you with how much you've helped me in this regard, because I used to take a lot of it home with you or home with me, and took a lot of, for lack of a better term, a lot of stuff personal and everything. And you teaching me how to ground and how to both connect and disconnect and shield and all that has been super helpful for me, and so a public thank you to that. But that said, I've selfishly asked you to show me how, and I've never asked you this question, so I want to hear your answer.
Wait, to show you how. Wait, what?
You've shown me how to like ground and
Yeah.
protect and everything,
How
and
do you
yeah,
not
you're
take it home
how do
with
you
you?
not take it home with you?
Well, I think there's layers as far as being like a medium and stuff, because you're not working with just the people who are alive. So you have their pain and you're working through those things and hearing their stories. And you're also, though, like, for me, the way I work is I connect with the person who passed usually several days before. I connect with photographs. So I'll get a lock on their energetic kind of stamp, and then sometimes I'll start getting impressions from them. Sometimes I'll get feelings. Sometimes I get body sensations, like somebody who had like a brain tumor, like I was getting really bad headaches for days, like beforehand, things like that I didn't know until I talked to the person, and but it's a problem too. Like there have been several people that I'd worked with who had passed that had died from suicides, and if you're not properly protecting yourself, you can start taking on some of that and not know it's not yours, and then it gets kind of dark and scary. So it really is about, you've got this energetic, and some of this stuff, it seems so basic and so like, really that's it, like a bubble of light. But yes, a bubble of light does a lot. Light can be amazingly healing and protective, and you can just imagine this bubble of light around you. And white light, sunlight, those are great. Those are very all around, like a quartz, very all around functional. But then, if you are struggling with certain issues and you want to picture a certain color, if you're drawn to a certain color, use that. But like, just think, like, nothing bad can get in the bubble. Like, only good things in the bubble. I am safe and protected. Like, everybody loves me. And, the spirit world loves me. Mother Earth loves me. That goes a huge long way. But also just like even black tourmaline crystals or any type of black crystals. If you're like really worried about it, like I do wear a lot of black. Weirdly, I didn't wear black today because it was the last 70-something degree day and I had to just do it.
You gotta enjoy it.
I almost wore an all black shirt, but I had to wear my I wish it was Friday shirt, so with
perfect.
little baby
This time of
Jason
year.
Voorhees.
Yeah, and just like the grounding, just like you imagining pulling that energy up from the ground, from Mother Earth, and pulling it through your body and like connecting it, going up through your head, like connecting with those higher realms, the angel realms, your ancestors and people who've passed, all of those realms, and all of that is kind of like wrapping you in protection from like Mother Earth and above. So
So it's sort of an exercise in like, okay, visualizing this in my head and starting to like think those thoughts before you go into a situation,
Yeah.
and then that'll shield
and
you from.
basically just waking up and doing it. Like anybody can, anybody should. You should actually, because you're a Scorpio. But like
Should.
several times a day, wake up, do it at lunchtime,
Yeah.
fluff it up before bed. Like that
Right,
sounded really
right. All
weird.
at the same
That was
time.
bad.
Yeah. Right, all at the same time. My therapist encouraged me to start doing deep breathing. My friend Wendy started encouraging me to do grounding, and you started encouraging, the white light and all that all together. And like, it's all meant to do the same thing. It all comes from the same place, and it's been super helpful, and it's allowed, at least for me, because during the lockdown, I was like, my social battery was it was on empty. I mean, there were days I couldn't even get out of bed. There were days where, because I'd been just, performing for people all the time. And then when I did start doing virtual shows, it was super draining because I wasn't getting the feedback that normally, for lack of a better term, charged my battery. So that taught me how to be more self-sustaining. And then right as the in-person shows were coming back, it was the opposite. Now the in-person shows were super, super draining, and I was bringing too much home, and like literally. That's when you and I met. So it's like, again, no coincidences. And even on like the tours, you guide people, and you're gonna be guiding people even before my show to how to wrap themselves in the bubble. Not because there's anything evil or negative at the house.
CYA.
Some people, yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Some people do feel like, oh, well, yeah, you say there's not negative stuff, but I know there's negative stuff. Like it's just like they've just decided this already. So it's good to do. A, for those people, and B, for everyone else, they understand, oh, this is a a warm fuzzy. It
Yeah.
lets us know everything is good to go.
It's a happy
So
thing.
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of
So-
happy things,
yes,
You
yes.
gave me this early in
The
the
Halloween
show.
Halloween
This-
treat from
you had me
Loren.
decide
Yes.
between it was dragons and
Moons.
and I
Yes.
picked dragons, and that's what
Yes.
this bag was. That the bag that it was in, or was that something to do with what's in here?
That's something to do with what's in there.
Oh, okay.
So, and these are, we're giving them out at the shows.
Yeah.
But,
So if you want your own, JoeDiamondLife.com
Yes.
/Halloween.
Perfect. plug.
By the way, MysticChick.net for you as well, right? For
Yes,
your other events
mysticchick.net.
and such as
Let's
well.
see
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah,
what we
so-
got in here.
Yeah, so this is a
Yeah.
personal message from Spirit that, like, the Spirit Realm, they need you to know right now. So
And this is because I picked this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So this is okay. I think I got everything out of
Okay.
there.
I think
All right.
so.
What should I look at first here? There's a few things.
Whatever you want, whatever
Yeah,
you're
whatever.
drawn
Yeah.
to.
Okay. Iron pyrite. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Pyrite.
Oh, yeah.
Fool's gold. Okay. Helps attract
Okay.
abundance. Highly protective. Enhances confidence and vitality. Helps you tap into your potential and promotes positive thinking. Is that one of these guys?
Yeah.
That'll be one of them.
Awesome. Ooh.
I know. There's two things wrapped, so I don't know. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Okay. So this is
nice.
me. This is me right here. What does this? What does this mean for me?
Well, see, now I've got a cough. How do you feel
How do I feel?
when you hold it? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to, like, not cough in the microphone.
Oh,
There's, like,
I
no good place to
feel-
go.
I don't know. I feel fine. I don't feel anything particularly.
Right. So you just sit there and hold it for a while. And, like, just try that, like, a few times, a day, or, like, just put it on your desk or somewhere, and, like, if you're drawn to it, like, just pick it up and touch it, and you'll start to, like, form a connection with it. But that energy picked you. You synced with that energy while it was still in the bag. So, like, crystals, it doesn't matter if it's covered by something. You feel it, like, even far away from where it is.
Yeah. Very cool. And what is this guy?
That's an evil eye.
This is an evil eye. Oh man.
Giving
Let
out
me see.
evil eyes?
Yes.
Let me see this. Let's see an evil eye.
Might want to explain a little bit
Yeah,
for some
what
people
is
who
evil?
are
I have
concerned.
no idea.
Yeah.
What
Because
this
I
is.
could see he's concerned.
Check that out there on the camera.
Yeah, so that
Ooh.
protects you from, like, bad energy, negative things. It's a very old symbol that it has a lot of power to protect you from negative stuff.
And it's called an evil eye.
Evil, I know, it's kind of
It's
like
kind of a
counterintuitive.
yeah.
It's
The
Yeah.
name doesn't fit what it
Yeah.
does, but that's fair.
Yeah.
Very very cool.
Hey, you drive on a parkway and park in a driveway. So
That's-
this is the
that's
metaphysical equivalent, I guess.
And then I've got a card here too with a dragon on it.
Yes.
And it says Emerald Dragon. That's the front here. Brings in healing and cosmic abundance. Good fortune is coming. Let your thoughts support your divine perfection. Align with your fifth dimensional blueprint. What is my fifth dimensional blueprint? That sounds
That's
awesome.
your soul path.
Oh,
That's
shit.
like what you're meant to be doing. And I think, like, you were just talking about how you were, moving to a new space and everything else. That's in alignment with your growth, and that fiery energy is going to kind of propel you tapping into that.
That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be really cool. And then this is a card for you.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
my
Very
card.
cool.
Yep.
Very cool, very cool. See
That,
there.
that is known in the industry as shameless self-promotion.
That's super cool.
Finding new and inventive ways to do that is sometimes harder than channeling the extra paranormal realms.
I do want to qualify one thing. I'm giving them out for the people going on the tours.
Yes, so there's only 13 people admitted per tour, so it'll be a little more intimate. Again, the show is 55. One other thing I forgot to mention too, so there's the general admission. You can come just see the show, have an epic Halloween. You'll still get to meet Loren. You'll still get to see me and be a part of the show. We'll have special edition posters that we just signed and hand numbered. Each Halloween I do a collectible poster, and so this is the second year I'm doing that. And then there's the VIP, which is the show and the tour. So and you've got really cool LED lanterns. So we should point that out too. Like the lanterns, they're not lit. It'll be safe. Everything else.
There's no real fire.
Yeah, there's
gonna
no
say,
real
that might
fire.
not
It's
be
not
safe
allowed
in
in the
the
building.
mansion that old, yeah.
Yeah, it's not allowed in the building anyway. Because I mean, there have been some photos like when you were on the front page of the newspaper, like you can't tell those are LED lanterns.
Yeah.
It just looks epic
look
and
pretty
spooky,
real.
and they look great. So you'll still feel spooky. It's all the spooky ambiance with none of the danger. There is also an introvert section, which we didn't do at Tristan's because it was just too much to figure out, but because this is a smaller show, we are able to do it. What the introvert section is, so I've noticed with mind reading, people like a magic show, a more traditional magic, you can go and just watch and watch it passively, kind of like a play. But a mind reading show, it's like an
interactive,
improv show.
yeah.
You're going with the expectation of interacting. And the big fear is like, oh my gosh, what if he picks me and says something embarrassing? Like, even that's the other thing too. I don't even have to be right. If I just bring someone up and go, oh, you like to wear pink fuzzy socks sometimes, Bill, that person at the company Christmas party can now be made fun of for the pink fuzzy socks. Even if I was wrong, if he said no, I'd say, oh wow, yeah, that's what you'd say. That could still embarrass them. The number one fear, more than snakes, more than falling out of airplanes, more than being caught on fire, is public speaking.
Yeah,
it's speaking in public.
Mm-hmm.
So you're now being brought on stage. You don't know the script. You're gonna have a guy tell everyone what you're thinking. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
That is it's why I start with stuff like in the show I start with playing cards, move on to ESP symbols, and we go into like names and exactly. There's a progression to all of it for sure. So, but some people are just flat out introverted and they just want to see a fun spooky show and not worry about being called on. So there is an introvert section. When you buy your ticket, you can buy an introvert ticket, and that it will be a section saved in the back. You just sit in one of those chairs. You can watch the show. I may say hi and thank you for coming to the show beforehand, but I'm not gonna bring you on stage. You get to just watch and have fun and not worry about not have any of that anxiety.
Well, it'd be really scary, especially for them, is if you just flip the whole thing only these guys, these 4 rows.
Yes,
here, me and you
there
the whole
is.
night.
We've talked about this. That's gonna be my tagline for this. We've talked about this. There is that prankstery kid who grew up watching Jackass, who just wants to be hey, like the evil demon who's just like, oh my god, chaos, let's do this, oh my gosh, let's just say. But I think there is a real responsibility and trust, and I think I like to think this is why so many people have connected with my shows, which is because I am very honest. I'm not gonna do that. I will, I push the envelope sometimes, maybe even too far sometimes. But for the most part, it's, like with the staple guns, I make sure I don't choose anyone for that. I say I need 4 people, who would identify as masculine, who have probably worked with tools before, who are okay with following some simple directions up here. Because I don't want to bring anyone up who suddenly feels like, oh my gosh, I now have to fire a staple gun into this guy's hand. What am I going to be in trouble for? I want someone who's willing to come up and participate. And, I don't quite let on what they're in for right away. But if you're watching and you come, you can. But when I ask for 4 people, that you'll know. I'll have talked about my grandfather and the pocket knife and everything. But I've had people on stage, and I've actually, it's one of the reasons I actually use a handheld mic on stage too, because I can actually lower it and now just talk to the person on stage. I was doing some high school shows, and those were hard. Those were really hard.
Yeah,
but there was one kid, he just wasn't quite getting the instructions. He wasn't listening. He wasn't really following along. I think he just got up in front of everyone and freaked out,
being like, "Bro, I'm not even trying to hear this shit."
No, I know.
A high school teacher being like, "This guy."
Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to actually tell them what they're thinking and make them and have them follow instructions. You have the next day. I have 45 minutes. Yeah. So I just lowered the mic and I just asked him. It's like, "Hey, you okay?" He's like, I
never
think
learned
so.
how to read. That's
Well, I think this person, for this particular show, I won't say the school it was at, but I think this person may have been on the spectrum, and maybe English. Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, and also I don't know if we knew that already, Darren. Come on, it's not because of that. That wasn't the tipping point. We love you, but exactly. Yeah, exactly. Your show is called Dtalks. Come on.
It is.
So I just said, okay, I'm going to send you back as a hero. I said, point to someone here in the front row, hand them the ESP symbols, go back to your seat, give him a round of applause as the rock star he is. And he went back to his seat and
you handled it well.
Yeah, and I brought up someone else. And I was able to lower that and just have a conversation. And I'll actually often will do that in these, because again, yes, everyone they may be the most popular kid in school. They might be raising their hand, wanting to participate, thinking this is their moment. But now they're getting up in front of 600-700 of their peers.
They freeze.
Yeah. So I actually make a point to lower my mic, and I fist bump them, and I lock eyes with them, and I always say, "Hey, thanks for helping out. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna make you look like a rock star." And then we're back, and now so we've had this moment.
Done it to me.
I am, and I have.
Do you ever get
And
off
d-
stage and then get
and-
bullied by everybody, or does it work out well for you? It works out
Yeah.
well because that would
Yeah.
be sad.
If he talks me down, like, then I actually do pretty darn good. So I
Get
think
excited.
yeah.
So you're good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You gotta get
well,
it.
and I,
Grounding agent.
well,
yes.
and also again, my show is all about the audience. It's all
yeah.
about bringing people up and having them have the best.
I've brought a lot of
thing
people
possible.
to shows,
Yeah.
and I've not had a single person say anything. Everybody loves
Thank
it.
you.
Everybody,
Thank you.
literally.
The only negative thing people will often say after a show is, "Oh man, I wish you had picked me for something up on stage," which
I've gotten that.
I will take, And in my show, in the show you saw, 57 people were involved directly in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Not including the part where I involved everyone at once, but there were like and in a show that's about an hour long, that's a very high amount. Not even an improv show will involve that many members of the audience. So you have a lot of chances to be a part of the show in that situation. And that is something, and again, even with those introvert tickets, I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, next time I'll have to come and get a regular ticket." I think I'd be okay with participating. So, and again, I think the proof in the pudding for me is the people who do come back, the people who do want to be involved in the show.
Oh, yeah.
9 times out of 10, if someone is nervous, it's just because they haven't seen the show before or haven't. I actually will send to corporate clients. I'll send them a thing to send out to their employees
So you know
saying
they're
this
walking
is
into a little bit.
yeah, this is who's coming. He's yes, he's a mind reader. Don't worry, we're gonna have fun. Here's some clips of him on TV. He knows what he's doing. And that way people know and they feel comfortable with it. And like also, and like you said with the grounding thing, like again, like my job is to make everyone be a rock star, and like that is actually I was hoping they'd be here in time, but I'll get some to you soon. I'll either drop them in the mail to you. I just got little stickers made that say "Psychic Rock Star." It's a guy with a guitar and a
very
crystal
cool.
ball. I love them. Well, actually, it's a person. It's not clear whether the person is male or female. So so it's a non-binary figure holding a guitar. So and like that's the idea. And like I want to, and again, yes, I've done that with you when we're about to, I'm about to introduce you to someone, or you're about to start a tour or something.
Anything.
So yeah, but I really try to make sure I deliver on that then too. I want people to be as comfortable as possible, and it's for me the hardest part is always starting. When I'm like, even when I started at like the Maxwell Mansion, I would just go up to people, and just going up to people is like the worst part of this job. So, and now I've got a room where people come and sign up and everything, and that's a million times easier. And so because I've felt that awkwardness, I know how much better it is to just be like, first of all, it's easier to go up to someone and say, "Hey, you want to check out what my cool friend is doing?" That's easier for me, and it's easier for you, and it's easier for them. So I understand that. So if I can help boost someone up, or make them feel more comfortable, and you've gotten super out of your comfort zone, and it's you again, like what's that quote from that book? You've gone to the edge, and you trusted, and you flew, like you've taken off. And people, and again I think people instinctually feel that when they come on your tours or see you for readings. Like I've had people who have been to my shows who see her for readings and vice versa, and they always are like, "Oh my gosh, she's so wonderful, she's so sweet, she's so trusting." And so
But yeah, you're drawn to certain people for a reason. So if people find me for the tours or for readings, there's definitely a reason. And see, you're wanting to touch it now more.
Yeah.
So like it starts connecting with you, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the schnizzle, because like that's what you need right now. So
This is what I need right now.
Yep.
What? So before we end up wrapping here now, I want to get to a couple other things. I want to first know, what's your favorite Halloween costume you guys have ever been?
Oh no.
You go first.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, because I've got.
You got to give her the fist bump. Don't worry, you're gonna be great first.
Yeah, you're gonna be great.
be
You're gonna be
rockstar.
great. You're gonna be great. Whatever
That's
costume you say, you'll be great.
There's a tie, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm tied too. So why don't you say your tie and I'll
All
say
right.
my tie.
So, a punk rock hula girl with butterfly, like a butterfly paste on face thing when I was like in 4th grade.
Okay.
And just because I was
Killing
really
it.
reaching. And then the other one was one year I got really desperate and I couldn't think of anything and I had no supplies. And I took a garbage bag and I did one for my sister too. And brown garbage bag, cut out letters. So she was a Hershey bar and I was M&M's.
Okay.
But if you ever do that, if anybody at home ever tries that, make sure if you do it out of foil for the Hershey letters, you like put like, I don't know, clear plastic or tape or something over them, because she wore it to school. And then after she got off the bus, she just looked like a garbage bag. Because it was all just wadded up things stuck to them. She
Yeah.
was so unhappy, and I worked for hours. So that is something to keep in mind.
So I'm tied as well. One was I went as Calvin and Hobbes. I had a little stuffed tiger. My mom
Nice.
spiked my hair. We like drew my face in so it looked more cartoony. No one knew who I was. It's like I was like the only 8-year-old being like, you uncultured swines, read a book. Like I'm wearing a black and red striped shirt. Like my hair's spiky. I've got a pet tiger. I'm Calvin and Hobbes, which is funny because like everyone I've met in my adult life all loves Calvin and Hobbes, and it's super. But back then I don't know what it was. Just that Halloween, maybe I was right before everyone else knew of Calvin and Hobbes. I don't know, but like everyone was just like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Calvin and Hobbes.
It's always the worst. You got to
yeah.
explain the concept.
Yeah,
over and
exactly,
over again.
exactly. Yeah, the one I didn't have to explain though was the year I was Batman. I was like 3 or 4. Ghostbusters is very, very close, but Batman wins because of this story. Now I have no memory of this. This is the way my mom used to tell the story. We were trick or treating. She was talking with my mom's friend. Me and my friend were up ahead, and we grew up in Wonder Lake. And in Make Your Judgments Now, and there's these really deep ditches and like culverts all throughout like our subdivision. I don't know why they were so deep. Like we would climb through them like under the road and out the other side when we were kids because it looked like, you know, the toxic waste thing from Batman with excess chemicals and all that. So I don't know. Again, I have no memory of this. I remember being in the costume. I remember trick-or-treating. I remember some of the photos we took, but I don't remember this. Apparently, we're walking down the street. She's back here with the other friend's mom. Me and the friend are up ahead. And out of nowhere, I just dove into the ditch.
Killer Croc in there or something?
Just,
You're trying to...
just dove in. And they were like, what? And I come up and my mom says, I'm glad I made him wear yellow rubber boots because, you know, he was coming out all wet and everything. And apparently I climbed out and they just went, Joey, that was Joey at the time. Joey, what are you doing? And apparently I just looked them in the eyes and went, I'm Batman.
Yeah, you did.
4
That's what
years
you gotta
old.
do.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like for me though, like I don't feel like doing the line of work that I do. I just like can't bring myself to dress up too much anymore.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah, that's
I live this.
that's
like,
the one.
every day.
It's
Like
spooky season for
Halloween's,
you guys
yeah,
all year round.
Halloween's the only time of year where I feel normal. I have worn the devil horns for shows sometimes, and you know that.
Oh, I like being a dark angel. That is
Yeah,
one of my
yeah,
favorites.
that's fun. So I've never been comfortable being all like dressed up and goofy. I love cosplayers. I love seeing their costumes. I just don't. I got a kilt at the Ren Fair, and I just was like, I wore it once. It was like I
Like,
don't
damn,
feel.
$70. I'm never wearing
Yeah,
this.
yeah. That's how me and Lindsay were. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I'm barely comfortable in jeans and a t-shirt, so it's like, you know, I don't want to, you know.
But again, my saying
overextend.
is the spirit world's alive 365.
Yep.
So yeah, every day is Halloween.
Halloween may come but once a year, but you can keep it in your heart all year round.
There
There
you
you
go.
go. There you go. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be for Halloween next for next week because we're doing a show also,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I got to figure out what I'm gonna be. I have no idea yet.
Jesus is pretty hard to top.
I know. I feel
Like-
like I shouldn't have done it almost because now I don't know what else to be. I still have the costume, but I don't want to do the same thing again.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, because here's the thing: you either have to do it. If you do it again, you then have to do it for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, then
it has to be the
everything.
thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, no.
Yes, I can't
So,
do it twice in a row, but I got to figure something out.
It'd be like going back to like the 10th Doctor or something like that.
yeah,
you know?
that
Yeah,
just wouldn't
yeah.
be that wouldn't be fair.
I
What?
just got so much hate right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I just heard all the drama. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
I have this. I want to know. Is there anything? We'll go Loren first, then we'll go Joe. Yeah, I want to know. Is there anything I can do right now, or anything that you have? I know you said you brought a bunch of stuff with you.
Yeah.
We don't have to get into the whole
Right.
bag, but is there anything that you think will maybe be fun? Either if it's a cleansing of energies that we can do now, or if it's some sort of like bite size, just to give people a sneak into kind of what you do and what you're about.
Okay.
Because I've got this
Yeah.
this here. I got the foosgold right here. I'm still holding this. I don't know.
yes. Yeah, I'm like thinking.
What would be fun? What would
what's
be
in the bag?
silly?
What's in
You
the
got-
bag?
What's in the
bag's
bag?
full of
What's in the
goodies.
bag?
Okay, we'll
What's
we'll
in the
look and
bag?
see what's in the bag.
Yeah.
The first thing you feel, use your intuition. Pull
Oh,
something
Yes,
out. Be like,
yes.
this is what it is.
Intuition.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the other great thing when you do this line of work. You don't have to be scientifically accurate. You just make up
You
words.
just say
It's
words.
great. Yeah,
Just
it's
put
not
quantum
science.
in
It's
front of
art.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, it's not science. It's
I mean,
Like Mania.
Unless
Ooh.
we want to find out, and I'm gonna have you pick a crystal, but unless you want to find out, just like, because you are getting some wonky energy here, like, is it coming from the land itself, or is it coming from somebody who lived here, like that had been living in the house, or that lived here before the house was built, or something like that, like on the land, or if it's just the land. So if you want to find that out, we can do that. I would definitely be curious. And here,
Oh God.
like
okay,
a,
don't
it's
look.
like a crystal.
This is a
yeah.
this is a sack full of rocks. It
Yes.
feels like. Okay. You just want me to grab one?
Yes.
Okay. Look what we got there.
All right. So
Ooh.
we got some picture jasper. So again, very grounding. There's a lot of stuff. Let's do two more just so that I can see what else.
How
is
many
going.
different things are in here?
A
'Cause
lot.
You named that immediately after I
Yeah.
grabbed it.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Does that look a lot
that
like
looks
what you?
a lot like this guy.
It's very similar. It's called chalcopyrite, but it's a type of pyrite mixed with
Okay.
chalcedony.
So similar. Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. That adds up.
Yes.
And then we got
Oh.
this guy.
Okay, so you're looking for themes,
Mhm.
and you have a lot of like grounding energy. That's rainbow obsidian. You got the picture jasper, both very grounding, very nurturing. But you also have with the rainbow obsidian this like part of your success is going to be dependent on connecting with spirit energy. So whether it's somebody who's passed that you're connected to, or like an angel that you're connected to, or an ancestor, or an ancestral kind of culture, connect with something higher, and they will kind of fuel you and point you in the direction of your best way to succeed. So that's, I think, very, very important for you, especially being a water sign and very like psychic. But are you drawn to like any like older cultures or types of?
I mean, I like a lot of fiction stuff that's based on like Greek mythology, if that counts. But that's stuff that I like, and Norse mythology as well. I find that stuff interesting, but in more of like a fun sense. I don't know. If
Yeah,
that counts.
so I would definitely play with those two things, either like a god or goddess from the Greek kind of pantheon, or I would actually kind of veer more towards for the Norse. So like, do you have any heritage, like cultural connection to the Norse?
I don't even know. I'm not exactly sure where, because that's like Scandinavia, right? That's
Yeah.
where that. I mean, I don't. Not that I'm particularly aware of. I'm Polish and then Italian, so
Okay.
and a
So-
little Irish too.
And a little, so there's the Irish. So there was a lot of like blending with like the Vikings and the United Kingdom and the Danes and like all these things and like Irish. So I would say either Norse culture or like anything like Celtic. I'm like,
Mhm.
those would be kind of what I would play with, and just see if any of them you're drawn to, any gods or goddesses. Try it out and see how you feel. But like then ask for direction. Like there's also, you can get the fear, And that.
The what?
I'm butchering the name. Vegasphere or something. It's the Icelandic compass. So it's just Google Icelandic compass. You will get an image of like different symbols, and you can wear it like on a necklace. You can get it as a tattoo. You could do whatever you want with it, but it will point you in the direction, and it will connect you with your, kind of what you feel drawn to.
So find something in one of these cultures potentially that I can latch onto, or
but I would say just try it. Just Google Icelandic compass, get something, whether it's a keychain or whatever, and just ask for direction, and I think that might be enough for you. So because my gut is saying like the Norse culture is what is strongest in connecting with you, like they're reaching out to you already. So
oh shit,
yeah.
Phone's on silent, I guess.
But that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like I showed up at the right time. Like it always works that way. So
wow.
Yeah,
Well,
please
very
do that.
cool. Thank you. I will definitely try that. Thank you so much. There's that. I really appreciate it. That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Joe, we usually end with some sort of
mind reading
spectacular
thing. Yeah.
Is this something where I'd definitely like to do something if you can.
Of course.
If you want,
I'm always planning.
If you want, if I don't know how much you have or how much time you guys have. If you'd like to do, I'd like to maybe do one with me.
Well, I've got something extra planned, which technically is with you, but with someone else as well.
Okay, because
we've got people. Cool. I'll tell. Well, okay. Well, let me ask you. Well, first of all, again, like always, this is one of the reasons I'm jealous of you is like you get to say what comes to you and everything else, and it makes sense and it connects. Whereas with me, I can do the exact same thing, and everyone will be like, "Oh, well, they talked about that, they planned that," So, again, like. We go out our way to make sure like I don't tell you too much about what I've got planned and everything and so forth. All I said is that I had something planned, and it's this envelope. Now you can kind of see, Loren. Now again, you don't even know where this is going. This is kind of
I have no idea.
Yeah, you hold up to you can tell there's something in there. Go ahead and take that real quick,
All right.
Darren. You can hold it up to the light and just verify for everyone. Can you see through it? Can you see what's inside?
I cannot.
You can feel it's a folded piece of paper.
Yeah,
Big spoiler, but there's something in there. But it's sealed on all sides. There's no way you can see in to see what's in there, right?
Yeah. No
Okay. Do you have your phone with you?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'll leave it up to you. You're gonna we need to call someone because the big thing is I've been I've been doing a lot of this stuff. We even did some stuff over Zoom, right?
Did, yeah.
So now that I'm back to live shows, people have been asking, how does that work? So in my live shows, I've been doing something where we call someone on the phone. Okay. So I'll leave it up to you. You can call someone who's not here, or you can toss it to them to call someone. It's up to you. Because so think about it for a moment. We're gonna write down what you decide.
Okay.
So think about this for a moment. If you've got someone in mind that you can call, let us know.
I do have somebody.
You do have someone in mind. Okay. And again, you can't.
Crazy, though.
That's okay. You can't. And again, you especially Loren, you can't see.
I
see
can't
through that.
see anything.
Okay. All right. So I'll tell you what, because I'm gonna write down some things on the outside of the envelope here.
Okay.
Go ahead. We're gonna quote the Ghostbusters. Go ahead and call them. Is it okay if they're on speaker?
Yeah, they'll be good. I mean, I think
they'll be good.
He's
Okay.
a loose cannon.
All right. That's fine. Okay.
Okay, so I can put him on speaker right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, let's check it out. I don't tell you who this is?
No, you're gonna tell us in a moment. Okay.
Okay, call him.
We'll see if they answer first.
Yeah.
If they answer,
They
I'll
should.
write their name
If they
on
don't, I'll
the
be really
envelope
sad.
here.
Yo, what's up, dog?
What's up, man?
Hey,
Okay,
hold on one second.
okay,
You're
so-
live on the
so-
Dtalks podcast. I got Joe.
So here we're
Diamond
gonna write
here.
their name on the envelope. What's their name?
This is a full name or just?
Yeah. What do you call him?
I call him Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike. Okay.
Michael is his name.
Okay. All right. So Mike is fine. Hi, Mike.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, have we met before, Mike?
No.
We have not.
We haven't. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I do?
No.
All right. Perfect. All right. You're not going to overthink this then. Mike, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to say a word. I'm writing down. Mike says the word on the outside of an envelope here. Now, here's the thing. I want it to be a word that's 7 letters or less. I know that this is, it's fine to say whatever you want on this podcast. We're on the internet.
anything, yeah.
That said, if you say, a creative 4-letter word, we'll just say it's not that creative. It's actually more predictable. I want this to be a truly random.
creative.
What's that?
I'll give you a hint. It's not that creative.
Okay.
Okay, it's not that creative. Okay, well, think of a couple more words, and in a moment you're gonna say one out loud, and that's the one I'll write on the envelope here.
In a moment, you'll say one out loud.
Yeah.
So you think about it.
7
for a
letters
sec,
or
Mike.
less, but the one you say out loud is the one we're gonna go with. Okay, Mike?
All right.
Take
All right.
a second, Mike.
Take a second. When you're ready, say it out loud. I'll write it on the envelope here.
All right. Yellow.
Yellow? The word
Yeah.
yellow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mike. We're gonna send you a video in a moment. You can hang up. Say thanks,
All right,
Mike.
I'll talk to you later, dog. Tune in to the podcast. You want to see?
Yeah. So
All right,
you
peace.
can see Mike says the word. I'm running out of room here, but Mike says the word yellow. Yes. Okay. Mike says the word yellow. No. Take the phone out still.
Oh, keep the
Film.
Film this.
Yeah,
Okay,
film this
okay.
too.
I'm
Okay. Because
filming
here's
this.
the thing too. Because I know we're filming for the podcast, and you see it says Mike says the word yellow.
Okay.
Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Okay. Hi, Mike. It's Joe Diamond. I didn't tell you I'm a mind reader. Here's the thing though. I've been trying to get a sense of what people say before they say it. Try to read their minds before they make decisions. This envelope you checked, it's sealed. You can see it's sealed all the way around. I wrote on the outside, Mike says the word yellow. I'll bring this in close so you can see. If I tear this open, you can see there is a piece of paper in there.
There
yes?
is, yep,
Okay.
yep.
I'm going to pull this out. I want to keep this kind of on in frame here. Can you see it coming out on that camera too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it.
I just want you to see nothing else in there. Or nothing else in there. Hold on to that for a moment. Okay. You're still filming, yes?
Yep.
Okay, because I'm going to read this out loud, and I'll show it to you in a moment. But, Loren, you can verify. It says, I, at Joe Diamond Live, on Instagram and TikTok, I had a dream. I wrote this down after I had the dream. I had a dream that we called Mike, and he shouted the word yellow.
Yo, what the fuck? Mike's gonna die, bro. He's gonna fall to pieces.
Mike,
Right-
I think that deserves a follow on Instagram.
I think it does, Mike. You need to go.
and everyone
Holy
else
shit.
watching.
Yeah. Holy cow.
I told you there
Wow.
were shameless plugs.
That is insane.
So-
That is insanity. Holy cow. Yeah, Mike. I mean, if he's been on the show a couple times. Mike, he's very into.
Well, here you can
nothing's a
pass.
coincidence.
Yeah, you can pass those on to him.
He might.
There you go.
He might explode when he sees this.
Please
He might
do.
actually burst
Yeah,
into
hopefully he
flames.
does explode. That's awesome.
Holy shit, Joe, that was wild. Thank you. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. Wow. I don't. Holy shit, man. I don't even know where to begin. On that, but I guess unless you guys have anything else for me or any questions or anything else you want to get to.
I can't top that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So,
we can rap on that. I appreciate you guys.
Actually, I can top it. October 29th, 30th, and 31st. JoeDiamondLive.com
This guy's a pro.
/Halloween.
He's a professional.
Actually, yes, I can top it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, in all seriousness, and again, I mean, you do the tours year round, but being able to do these tours Halloween weekend, and also your tours are a little bigger. They're closer to like 18, 19, 20. These are capped off at 13, so it's not quite as crazy Halloween weekend. The fact that you'll be able to explore this house with a small group and everything else, if you're on the fence, go for it, because it's truly amazing. I nearly cried the first time I went on one of your tours. It was so lovely. It was so beautiful. I'm honored that I was able to team up with you for this Halloween, and
too.
hopefully Halloween's in the future. So,
Me too.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
yes.
But yeah, they're not what you think they are. Like
Yeah.
it's very different for every single person. Every group changes the equation, and it's magical every time.
Yep,
So.
exactly.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear more about it. I hope
Yeah.
people come out and see you guys.
Yeah.
It's the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Yep,
right?
JoeDiamondLive.com /Halloween. And then, again, if you can't make it Halloween weekend, or you're watching this way in the future and you're bummed you missed it, I'm always doing shows, JoeDiamondLive.com, YourMysticChick.net. You're always doing, and you still do virtual readings and phone readings and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
too. So, yeah, so if you're not in the Midwest, Loren can still
I can
still work with you.
I've actually worked with people's ghosts on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's well, I want to say thank you guys for coming out. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
guys
having
making
us.
the time and
Of
coming out and
course,
doing the
of
show. I
course.
always love having you guys.
I always love being on the show, but being on with you this has been especially
it's
fun.
so
Yeah.
cool. Like,
yeah.
seriously, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this wonderful, magical experience, and thank you so much for being awesome, both
Of course.
you.
Making
Thank
connections,
you.
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, and I like I said, I appreciate both you guys coming on the show. Also, appreciate everybody who tuned in live tonight, and all of those who are going to watch days after over on Spotify or YouTube. I also want to say a quick shout out to Kenosha Auto Insurance for sponsoring this episode as well. If you guys are interested in getting behind the scenes access to a whole lot of extra podcasts, we post extra footage of our vlogs, as well as a series where I break down how I make every single one of my songs. You can go to patreon.com/DarrenRita and help support the channel for as little as $1. And so they should be up on the screen right now. Shout out to all of them. Other than that, that has been the 173rd episode of the dtalks podcast. I will see you guys next week. Peace.